What's up, people? We're back with more SC2VN. Our team is finally complete. We have 4 members, which should be enough to participate in the team league. I'm not entirely sure what's next, besides the obvious practice. So yeah, let's continue. Hours of games together serve the 3 of us well. Most professional gamers have a certain level of respect for someone that can put up strong matches, even if they don't have the great results. While Stunt and Riva have playstyles as wildly different as their personalities, both are formidable opponents. Golden Zonefire's peak time passed about an hour ago. While it's not nearly as empty as it was when Riva arrived, there's enough room that we have a relatively quiet section to ourselves. Hey Riva! Axel told me that you know all 3 races. Why are you only playing Terran? Terran is the best choice given the current metagame. It is also the only race that earns 100% of its wins. Blunt, but I can't deny her logic, especially when she puts up such a strong match. She's pretty biased when it comes to game balance though. I've gotta say, Stunt's unit control is ridiculously precise. It's a shame he only puts it to use with his so-called innovative strategies. Innovative cheese. Jet's on the way with some good news, or so a text from her says. The only thing that's keeping my mind off of her imminent arrival is the game between Stunt and Riva unfolding ahead of me. Oh, let's see how our 2 recruits are playing against each other. Stunt's going proxy 2-gate yet again. Riva scouted it 4 of the last 5 times he's tried it. He's just being stubborn at this point. Still, the map is well suited for the build, and he's already managed to kill an SCV with some good probe micro. Riva's defense is formulaic as always. So far, it's working, but she's in for a bit of a surprise after I sneak a glance at Stunt's screen. Have a dozen probes stream up to Riva's ramp and cut off an exit for the 2 Marines kiting a pair of zealots. Bam! The Protoss units close the distance and slice the pair of Marines to pieces, securing a massive advantage that Stunt carries into a victory. Stunt pushes away from his monitor and stands, hands on his hips. Easy! Riva doesn't let it faze her. She rotates in her chair and shrugs. Unorthodox and inconsistent. But it worked, I will admit. Stunt basked in the glory of victory for a moment longer before something behind me catches his attention. Oh yeah, it's Jet with some guy in a suit. I follow his gaze to meet Jet and a man in a business suit walking towards us. He seems out of place, dressed so well in a PC bang. Mach and Riva, right? This is Mr. Kim. VP, I guess Vice President of Partnerships at Enoch Group. His company is looking to get into eSports. The casual timbre of his voice and the pained look on her face says it all. Do not screw this up. I tighten up my posture and lower my head in a bow at the exec. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Kim. What does your company do? And realize too late that I probably shouldn't have admitted that I've never heard of Enoch. Jet seethes through her teeth, but Mr. Kim takes my question with an easy smile and offers me his business card. Kim Soo-hyun, VP of Partnerships, Enoch Group. Well, that doesn't really enlighten anything, right? I give the card a brief once over before placing it carefully in my pocket. We're in a handful of markets and offer a variety of business services, consulting, marketing, and a few other things. Oh, that sounds important. And vague, though I don't say that. Truth be told, I'm pretty clueless when it comes to business related things. Stunt and Riva's deer in the headlight silence isn't exactly helping either. But it's as Jed says, esports is a fascinating industry with strong potential for continued growth. I'm particularly interested in strategic opportunities based on its unique qualities. I've proposed the idea of sponsoring a fresh team to Enoch's board, but for now, we're just shopping around. He pauses to observe my reaction. I get a strong feeling that this guy is a pro at negotiation. As if she suspects the very same thing, Jet steps forward to prevent me from saying anything that could take away her leverage. As I said before, we're still not ready to accept any offers. You have our interest, but we're keeping our options open for the time being. Of course, there's no rush. I merely wanted the chance to introduce myself. And we've got plenty to discuss. Thank you for the ride, Mr. Kim. It was no trouble. We'll be in touch. And with that, the businessman departs just as quickly as he arrived. It's only once he's gone that I realize just how tense my shoulders are. That guy looks like a secret agent or an insider. Can we name our team that? Secret Agents with a Z? Is this stunt Mach? She thumbs in his direction and turns back to him when I nod. Shut up, Stunt. We're probably going to have to name our team after his company. Man, I've been coming up with all kinds of mascots and taglines. Team Enoch? That's so lame. With a sigh, Stunt sinks down in his chair. Jet does her best to ignore him. So, these are the two you managed to pick up? Stunt and Riva. A cafe whelp and a ladder hero. And a literal foreigner. The three of us don't have anything to say to that, so she continues. Alright, whatever. We're just going to have to make this work one way or another. All that's left for us to do is recruit a coach. Got anyone in mind? Not particularly. VIP hasn't exactly been great for networking outside of the team. They're pretty much done for as soon as I leave. Or done for. The ease with which she delivers that judgment leaves me taken aback. I guess if she's going to sever ties with her old teammates, she can't afford to second guess herself. A brutal and unfortunate necessity. How did you know Mr. Kim then? We've only just met. I asked around if anyone knew a decent sponsorship opportunities, and an old Brood War friend pointed me in his direction. Fortunate. A coach should be relatively easy to acquire with word that a sponsor is ready to back us. Reva stares unblinkingly at no one in particular. It is a little bit creepy just how calculating she looks. Right. Anyway, I can handle the rest. You three just need to focus on practice. Hear me? Yep. Yes. Yeah. Good. I'll keep you posted on developments. If everything goes as planned, we'll be registered and ready to rock by week's end. The next VSTL starts 2 weekends after that. The fire burning in Jet's eyes is a refreshing sight. I can only promise so much to Stunt and Riva, but for them to see a proven player like Jet get behind the team has to be motivating. I need to get back to the VIP team house. It's about time I let them know that I'm not resigning. Mach, give these two my number. Text me if you need something. Before I can even respond, Jet is halfway to the door. Rather than dwell on her words or sit in silence, Stunt bounds to his feet and clenches a fist forward. You heard her, chumps! More practice! I'm afraid not. I must be getting home. Jet is not the only one with preparations to make. Yeah, same. Don't let us stop you though. Tch, fine. Let it be known that when I begged and pleaded for practice partners, I was cruelly denied by my own teammates. Stunt's theatrical complaints don't end until I followed Riva out onto the street. Through the door's window, he gives us a sour face and then returns to his PC. He is a bit childish. Well, he's still a kid. The two of us start heading in the same direction by coincidence, though neither of us bring it up as we share simple conversation. What if she's like our upstairs or downstairs or maybe even next door neighbor? I ask about her build order, and she asks me about foreign tournaments. Riva reacts with surprise when I inform her on the antics of foreign FPS pro gamers. Would shouting insults at each other mid-match not disrupt their ability to communicate? No idea. All I know is that they get loud enough to hear from the open bracket area. Curious. Our small talk is cut short when she heads for a subway tunnel located along my route home. But before she descends the tile steps, Riva turns and offers a rare smile. Goodbye, Mach. It was nice to meet you. Bye. Catch you online. When she's gone, I'm left to think over the day's events alone. Mr. Kim. Enoch. This is all too good to be true. What if we're gonna get scammed at the end or something? It feels right to be wary. Too many aspiring pro gamers have had their fledgling careers dashed to pieces by stupid mistakes and broken promises. I can't let myself be one of them. Maybe I've earned a chance to rest, to congratulate myself. But I won't. Not yet. Not yet. Lately, the streets haven't seemed so foreign or confusing. It might just be because I stick to the same route every time I walk to Golden Zonefire, but I like to think I've really started to figure out life as a foreigner. I've settled into a routine that works for me. A few hours of ladder in the morning, then I hang out at the cafe with whoever shows up that day. Practice, talk strategy, maybe grab some food, and then we go our separate ways. It's enough to satisfy me, while still offering plenty of free time to keep from burning out. It's not a champion's regimen, but it should suffice. Hopefully. Jet is always pushing me to practice longer, but it's hard to see the point. What's 10 hours going to do for me that 6 hours doesn't? Extra 4 hours? I haven't seen that Bolt guy at the Golden Zonefire since I challenged him, luckily. I was anxious about the possibility of running into him again. A confrontation when I'm supposed to be training is the last thing I need. Familiar landmarks crop up one by one. It's not long before the cafe comes into view, busy as it always is on the weekends. I squeeze past a half-dozen middle schoolers and make my way to our quiet corner. Yo, what took ya? We've been waiting on you for so long. Don't listen to him. He got here just before you did. Stunt scowls and sinks down into his chair. I try not to smile. Riva's a no-show again. Messaged me this morning that she wanted to stay in and ladder. Is Axel coming? I know Crash has Team League tonight. Nope. He mentioned that he has some last-minute build prep to take care of. Who are they playing again? Kaney, I think. Or Kaini. There are a lot of advantages for players on a team. Recognition, housing, practice, salary, but getting to play in Team League is one of the biggest perks, period. A lot of young StarCraft talent breaks out in VSTL. Matches against top players are usually rare for those that aren't qualified for VSL, but not in Team League. For an amateur, a win there is more than a sign of good things to come. Did Axel tell you anything about his team's plan? Jet shakes her head before successfully snatching Stunt's phone out of his hand. She rolls it in the space between her fingers and turns back to me. Don't be so naive, Mach. Axel and I may be friends, but that sort of information isn't something you can give away freely. Stunt gropes for his phone, a pout set across his face. Jet dodges a few times before willingly relinquishing the device. Stop ignoring us. It's rude. Tch, whatever. You quit lecturing, Mach. Their eyes battle briefly before Jet concedes, glancing away with a dismissive gesture. Stunt savors his fleeting victory with a grin before dropping the phone to the table. It's rare to find someone willing to share their strategies openly. Maybe it's different in the foreign scene, but not here. I lost to an amazing one base all in on ladders a week back. Sent the guy a message asking for a few replays. He told me to kill myself. You don't need to look so pleased about it. Sheesh. However, there's one exception. That being, if a foreigner eliminates a Korean player, our scene will sometimes band together and send replays for his next opponent to study. It's a matter of national pride at that point. Been that way since Brood War. That's a rumor I've heard before. Replays can be invaluable in preparing for a specific player. What could be more useful than an exact recording of someone's strategies and tactics? At least Jet has the courtesy to look vaguely apologetic. I nod, doing my best not to look too surprised. How much do Korean players practice for Team League? The same as the individual leagues, or? Depends. Not less. If they aren't taking home at least top 8 in the solo league, StarCraft may be a one-on-one game, but teams can't always be sponsored on the back of individuals. Don't think that gives you the right to neglect your solo league. Admittedly, VSTL is secondary to VSL. If any of you fail to qualify, I'll make you a slave of my practice house. Cool your jets, Jet, and have a little confidence in us. When you inspire confidence, I will. Remind me again how you placed in the last qualifier? Stunt wrinkles his nose and takes the opportunity to return to his cell phone game. Even between teammates, StarCraft's competitive nature thrives. Silence lingers until I decide to speak up, if only to break the tension. Why don't we go watch Axel play tonight? I'm sure he will appreciate the support. They simultaneously glance up at me, and then at each other. More silence. I'm just about ready to give up when Jet speaks. That's a good idea. I've been meaning to speak with Axel anyway. Sounds like fun. Let's bet on the games though. Gambling? I shouldn't be surprised. You play Protoss after all. 25,000 on Crash. Ha! I'll take that bet any day. Wait, I'm not done. 25,000 won on Crash, but if Axel all kills, you pay double. Stunt pauses, chewing over the odds with a contorted look on his face. All kills are incredibly rare. It's hard enough for one player to single-handedly defeat more than one opponent, let alone an entire team. With his decision made, Stunt slams a fist down hard enough to draw a few glances from a nearby table. Deal! The match won't be for another few hours, so you have plenty of time to regret your mistake while I'm kicking your ass. I wanna try out this new build making the rounds called the 2-base Immortal All-In. It crushes Zerg, or so they're saying on the forum. Let's go. Hey Mach, come watch and learn a thing or two about how to play PvZ like a pro. That's useless to me. All I need... Oh, what? No, he doesn't wait for me to finish my thought before bolting for an open PC. I'm left with Jet, who takes her time in joining Stunt. He's funny. Funny doesn't win games. True enough. Jet seems conspicuously pensive as she rises to head over to her machine. Just as she turns to leave, she stops and looks back at me. Mach, do you think that teammates have to be friends? What do you mean? The question is straightforward. Yes or no? Do teammates need to be friends? Okay. In all honesty, it's obviously better if they are friends, but I feel personally that it's not a necessity. It's obviously way better if they are, right? But you don't need to be friends necessarily, in my opinion. But I don't know, it's a tricky thing. I'm just gonna go with my gut, like, even though if it's probably the wrong answer, the dream is gonna be dead again, but I'm gonna go with no on this one. Teammates should be civil, but it isn't necessary that they be friends. I agree. The goals of a friendship and the goals of a team don't always align. It can complicate things and make life more difficult for everyone. If only more people saw it that way. Esports isn't a game for people afraid to face the real world. Too many losers retreat to StarCraft and expect everything outside of the game to be easy and fun. People like that aren't cut out for esports or anything really. In any case, You did well to recruit Stunt and Riva. I appreciate it. I'll take care of the rest. Be around Golden Zone Fire every single day for the next week or so, and practice. Practice a lot. She answers my nod by taking off in Stunt's direction. Where is she? After all it took to convince her, Riva better not have changed her mind without telling me. Maybe she's the type to always be running late. This is the first time I've been back at the VSL studio since the qualifier. Riva's not the only one who feels out of place. I'm just about to send her another text when I catch the top of her head coming up the stairs. Get lost in the subway again? My apologies. This is my first time at the VSL studio. Oh really? You've never tried to qualify or come to spectate? She shakes her head. That's a huge surprise, considering she's a local. It's easy enough to follow the VSL online, but nothing beats the live experience. Watching the round of 4 in person was one of the first things I did here in Seoul. Jet and Stunt are probably waiting for us. Come on! Oh yeah, look at that. Look at the boots. The VSL logo. Oh. Nearly every seat in the spectator area of the VSL studio is taken. It's only with a wave from Jet that Riva and I are ushered past the back rows and into our seats over on the side. Stunt is seated beside Jet and acknowledges us with a smile. With how differently the 4 of us are dressed, it'd be hard for anyone to tell that we're actually a team. Well, I guess technically we're not a team yet. Not officially anyway. With the thought on mind, I look to Jet and keep my voice low. Do we have a uniform planned? Oh hell yeah! I want a team jacket! The uniform we pick comes out of the team's war chest. It's stupid for us to plurge when we don't have any results. Stunt's longing stare doesn't fade away until Jet focuses a glare in his direction. The production crew is busy at work behind the scenes. There are way more VSL staff members than the stream lets on. People with clipboards and headsets pace the studio frantically, moving from team benches to behind the booths and then back again. Axel sits on the end of the bench with the rest of Team Crash. Their coach, a balding man with small eyes, a red nose, and a clip-on tie, paces back and forth with his hands in his pocket of his blazer. Most coaches are usually retired players or have management experience. This guy has either got the latter or nothing. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that he's never played a game of StarCraft in his life. The players of Team Kaini sit on the opposite side of studio. Their coach is far more subdued, and one that I actually recognize, an old B-tier Brood War pro that aged out of his ability to compete. Stunt leans over Jet to whisper something, but before he can open his mouth, the Victory Star League's theme song cuts into announce that the broadcast is about to get started. Korean Star Leagues have a weird fascination with alternative rock. The same songs from my embarrassing freshman year playlist blast unabashedly to stadiums of eSports fans. The crowd cheers die down only once the commentators give their introduction. When I look over my shoulder, I can see the table where they keep the 2 English casters, Tastosis. The duo is more loved in their laid-back banter, than their game analysis. That's not anything I change. There's no way for me to hear them without getting a headpiece that'll make me look like a tourist. I'll have to settle for the Korean commentators. Welcome to the VSTL! Today's first match, and this is an exciting duel between Crash and Kaini. Both are very solid teams and have been around from the very beginning of StarCraft 2. I'm eager to see whether or not they show us some good games. This is the furthest that Kaini has been since the beginning of the StarCraft 2 Team League. Crash will need to make it to the VSTL finals if they wish to share that accomplishment. Indeed, they have a challenging path ahead of them, but I am certain that they are capable of returning to their former glory. My thoughts are the same. Only one of Kenny's players remains in the VSL, so they should have had plenty of time to practice for this match. Can the same be said for Crash? Certainly so. Crash's lineup is well tested and proven in the VSL. It's a sure bet that they have not neglected to prepare accordingly. Well, there won't be any jokes about cartoons from the 90s, but I should stay pretty well informed throughout the series. An array of multicolored overhead lights announced the first match. Polished motion graphics and meticulously collected player statistics whiz around the display at the front of the studio. The VSL studio really has hype building down to a science. Who do you think Crash is going to send out first, Jet? Not Axel, unless they want him getting sniped right off the bat. I nod. A common strategy in Team League is to have a mid-tier player spend all of his practice time preparing specifically for one heavy hitter. There are other things you can take into account too, like the map or remaining opponents, but there's no doubt that Team Kenny has one of their players ready to take down Axel. By the time I glance back at the stage, the first two players are headed into the booths. Axel remains on the bench, eyes set on the same screen as the crowd. It is starting. Sure enough, once the players have their settings prepared and the coaches give the go-ahead, the match begins. Spawning in at the 7 o'clock position for Team Crash is the red Protoss player, Jang L. His opponent from Team Kenny at the 2 o'clock base is Shing. Protoss vs Protoss, close positions. This match won't last long. Mirror matches are so stupid. PvP most of all. If you don't know the intricacies, it can sometimes be really intense. Literally every strategy is a coin flip. PvP should be considered gambling and made illegal. PvP usually ends with both players on one base. The decision to expand is often too great of a risk, especially with the players as close as they are. So I can see why Stunt is probably into this matchup, because it's a one base setup most of the time. More so than in any other matchup, mind games are essential to securing an advantage. Reach too far with aggression against the balanced strategy, you lose. Go middle of the road against a tech build, you lose as well. Tech up against an attack, and you lose as well. Yeah! Jang L and Shing both have opted for a 4-gate warp gate strategy. Prepare to watch these two clash. It'll all come down to their control. Or that can happen too. Even with Jet's grumbling, Stunt looks like he's enjoying himself. After all, this is the type of game he loves. Reva's paying attention, though likely only to note the inefficiencies of Crash and Kenny. Both of the Protoss players complete the buildings necessary for their attacks simultaneously, but it's the Team Crash player who's out on the map first. A proxy pylon near the Kenny player's base will allow for a quick frontline reinforcements. Things would be going perfect for Crash, if not for one small problem. The attack was spotted. Rather than answer with his own attack, the Kenny player is holding his units back at home, and he's hiding half of them in a small corner of his base. I realize what's happening just as Crash's player makes his move. Without the proper intel on his opponent, he feints a movement at his opponent's ramp in the hopes of learning what he's up against. But the Kenny player doesn't even budge. No force field, no panicked chrono boost, nothing. No defense at all. After a moment's hesitation, the Crash player charges up the ramp fully, confident that he's caught his opponent in a moment of weakness. For a moment, it looks like it was the right move. He heads forward to disable the Kenny infrastructure and has his exit cut off. The Kenny player reveals his hidden units and surges into Crash force. Even though the battle begins with the two at an even unit count, the force field preventing the Crash player's retreat also keeps his reinforcement from joining with his main army. Bam! Despite some excellent unit control, the dwindling Crash army is devoured by the ambush. Jang L taps out a GG, and the first game goes to Kaney. An exceptional trap set by Xing. The key was the position of his 3 extra gateways. He allowed the crash player to catch sight of a single gateway, which led him to believe there was a hidden tech at the back of his base. Excellent tactical thinking. Indeed, it would have to be too risky to find out with certainty what was coming next. He had to act. He should have cleared the path to his opponent's base before showing his units. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I was stunned. That could not have been more stupid. This is what happens in a matchup where scouting past the 3-minute mark is impossible. Kaney is fortunate that Jang L hesitated. Had he disabled the forward gateway in time, Crash would have been victorious. I aim my attention back at the Crash bench to see who they're sending out next. Axel turns back and whispers to one of his teammates, and he starts heading for the booth. Finally, some ZVP! Better hope that Xing's all-ins aren't as pitiful as yours, stunt. 2 minutes later, the Crash Zerg stands cross-map with the Kaney player. The map opens slowly, but a sudden greedy opening from the Kaney Protoss elicits a call for attention from the commentators. Yeah! How bold! The map does not lend itself to a Nexus first, yet he has planted one down without pause. And it seems that it will be going unpunished. With 1 victory already, it seems that Kaney decided now was an appropriate time to take a risk. This spells bad news for Crash. With the Protoss economy established so quickly, Zerg will struggle to survive his powerful mid-game attack. The commentator's warning shows itself to be a well-informed one. The Crash player realizes his disadvantaged position too late. From inside the booth, he looks visibly shaken. Xing marches across the map at the 8-minute mark with an absurd number of blink stalkers, not bothering to clear the watchtowers on the way over. His unscouted forward pylon allows him to power forward unchecked. The Crash's Zerg clumsy defense is painful to watch. The game was decided by the 2-minute mark, even if it took the Protoss another 7 to play it out. That was embarrassing. Not my preferred all-in style, but I'll admit, it has its merits. A sudden realization that 3 out of 4 of us are on camera puts our conversation on pause. The VSL loves to show foreigners and girls in the breaks between games on stream for whatever reason. Rira shields her face and glances away while I wave and watch myself on screen with an undeniably awkward expression. The cameraman makes the mistake of panning past us to focus solely on Jet. Of course, not a second later the scene switches back to the casters. What kind of idiot doesn't drone scout? He went pool first. It was an easy slow Ling rally for the win. The map lends itself to a typical Zerg playstyle. He mistakenly believed that if he could defend an early rush from Protoss, he would have had an advantage going into the mid game. I can already taste the extra large bibimbap. I'll take cash, Jet. Quiet. O2 isn't impossible to come back from. But Jet's confidence falters a minute into the 3rd game. The Kaney Protoss immediately sends a probe scout across map, intent on deciding the game with an early rush. Scout around your natural, moron! It takes 2 seconds! And as if he somehow heard the order through his booth's soundproof foam, the Crash Zerg catches a sight of the proxy gateway just as they finish constructing. A moment later and the game would have been decided. How will the Zerg react? He responds by throwing down static defenses in his main. A good option since a pair of stationary spine crawlers are too strong to contest with just a few zealots. The hatchery finishes despite the Protoss' effort to force a cancel. It looks like Crash is going to stabilize here. Or would, if not for... No! What are you doing? Stop! Jet takes 2 fistfuls of her own hair when the Zerg uproots a spine crawler and begins moving it down the ramp. The Protoss reaction is instant. The Kaney player rushes in to take a fight with the remaining static defense. Slash! Even with a handful of Zerglings and a queen aiding, the Spinecrawler falls with only a single casualty for the Protoss. An unmistakable blunder! He aimed to defend his natural expansion with the second Spinecrawler, but failed to wait until he had enough Zerglings. Such impatience is going to crash the game, and perhaps the series. With the free pickoff, it's not long until the canny player snowballs his lead into a victory. One of his teammates charges into the booth and claps his back a dozen times, both of them smiling through some banter. It's a stark difference from the crashed bench. All save Axel look ready to accept defeat. With a calm look back at his coach and a nod, he rises to replace his fallen teammates. Alright, well, this is a good time to end the video here, because obviously in the next one we all want to see if Axel can actually go for, I think it's 0-3 now, and it takes 4 to win? Yeah, of course, because each team has 4 players, right? So, can Axel go for the reverse all-in kill? We'll find out in the next episode of SC2VN Pokemon. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!